Hey guys, I wanted to stop on and share a little something with you today. Um, I typed this all out because sometimes that's easier for me on the day. Um, so I'm sorry if it looks like I'm reading because I am. Some days it's easier for me to have a script than other days, and today's one of those days. So, yeah. So if it looks like I'm looking down and reading, it's because that's just how it is today. Plus, this is probably going to be a very emotional post for me. And so it's just easier if I get all of my thoughts together first and then share it. So that's what I did. Here we go. As 2026 starts, I've been doing a lot of looking back at 2006, the year that launched the Fiskateers. I don't know how many of you remember the Fiskateers, but here we go. The year that changed the trajectory of my life, Matt's life, and the boys' lives, and honestly, I think everyone's lives, if I'm not being too hyperbolic. We did something on that little crafting website at the same time that the Facebook was being born at Harvard. It still had the in front of it in 2006. It wasn't just Facebook, it was the Facebook in 2006. We started a word of mouth marketing movement way bigger than intended, I think. We managed to change the entire way marketing content and online interaction between companies, their fans, and influencers worked. For good, bad, and everything in between. And me being a type A, firstborn, overly competitive person that was being picked for that, you know. So, my type A, firstborn, overly competitive self that was picked for being the kind of quirky looking and different one, driven and determined, I took this part-time job on and broke the internet for the future, just trying to make sure that I didn't lose the coolest job ever. And that's how I feel. I feel like I'm looking back on it now and I have some guilt over what we might have done to the internet and our role in it. All because I was hyper competitive about my position and I wanted to make sure that I didn't lose my job. Did you ever see Baby Boom with Diane Keaton from back in the day? It was one of my favorite movies growing up. She was so her in it. Quirky, funny, cool. I saw it when I was like preteens, teenager. And so it shaped me as a Gen Xer into buying into the idea and the mythos that Gen X women could have it all. That you could be this high-powered businesswoman by day, have a relationship, then have kids, and, well, then one day a relative that you barely know is going to die and will you a child, so that looking back, I think I thought this was great because then I could skip all of the pain of childbirth, not realizing that I would end up, delivering 2 children. But I think there was a part of that preteen, teenage part of me that thought, wow, someone's going to will me a baby. This is great. I was swayed by the Diane Keaton of it all. The plot has its best bits when she ends up leaving her high-powered job, buying a farm. I think it's Vermont. I could be wrong, but I think it's Vermont. It's been a while since I've seen it. And takes the baby, moves to Vermont, falls in love with a vet, starts her own baby food brand. shows Wall Street that she can do it on her own. She's an entrepreneur. She doesn't need anyone. And so she's the mom, the businesswoman, like all of it. She has it all. She does it all. It's amazing. It's wonderful. And in my brain, as a Gen X child growing up watching this and loving Diane Keaton and just thinking she just was the coolest at the time, you know, like her clothes, like for me, like her clothes, her attitude, everything about her was different, and I was so different that seeing somebody like that for me was motivating. And I guess this is what I grew up believing, that we could work full time, which was what I was doing at the time, teaching and working a full caseload of early intervention. Plus I was seeing some kids that were not part of that job in addition. So they weren't part of the program that I was working in. They lived outside the parameters of that program, like outside of the catchment area. And they needed people to see those kids. And so I was asked to see those kids. And so I was seeing kids outside of my normal 40 hours. So I was working more already when Fiskateers started. Plus, when Fiskateers started in 2006, Jake was born in the fall of 2005. So Jake was just Jake. Owen was just Owen. And so I had small children. I had a full-time job plus a part-time job. And then this came along as another part-time job. And I thought, Diane Keaton can do it, so can I. So I did. And I took on being a Fiskateer, which was 20 hours a week, unless you wanted it to be successful. And then you were competitive and driven and not sleeping anyway because you had 2 kids under the age of 2. And you were up half the night. Then you worked that job 40 hours a week. And you didn't know what a blog was when you started because it was all new. I didn't know what blogs really were. Ree Drummond only had a blog then. And it was about her life 20 years ago. Ree Drummond, pioneer woman, only had a blog. There was no brand, there was no TV show, there was nothing. She had a blog about her life on the farm as a city girl with her Marlboro man. That was it. All of this, 20 years ago, hit at the same time and was brand new. And we hit the same time as all of it. And most scrapbookers at the time were famous for being in magazines, like print publication. That was how you knew who the scrapbooker, like the cool scrapbookers were, was they were published in magazines. It wasn't like online content at that point, it was print publications. And so it was like you knew who was cool because they were in the magazines, and you went to the store or you had a subscription that got delivered to your mailbox 20 years ago. And we did that, and we had old school message boards, Reddit style. Like that was how we communicated with each other. We really were like the first squad, or one of the first. when you think of content houses now, like Jake Paul's house, or you think of other houses that are really big now, when you think of like TikTok and YouTube, because they draw, when you have a group, or like the moms of TikTok, like the Mormon moms of TikTok, stuff like that, when you have a group of people, it draws more views because you're pulling from everybody. Well, that's what we did. There were four lead Fiskateers from all over the country, 2 from California, 1 from North Carolina, and me from Illinois. So you had people, we all had different quirks, we all had different personalities, we all had different styles, we all shared different parts of our lives. So we were all bringing everybody to one spot on the internet, one page on the internet. Like, we were the first group to really do that, where you had a squad of people bringing everybody to one location for content. Yeah. And I think back on that, and I've been chasing those numbers since. Not realizing that the squad element of it was how we got those numbers. But I didn't understand that at the time after I left, and I had been trying for 15 years since then to keep to get those numbers back, and it's hard to do that on your own. But when it's all new and you're trying to figure it out, you don't totally understand that. When your job is to just make the content, put it up, and there's other people doing other aspects of it, you don't maybe get that the squad part of it is what's driving like the extra views. And so you then spend years after that working and working and working and working and working and working and working, trying to understand, like, why can't I get those numbers again on my own? Because you're not in that squad anymore. But you work really hard, or harder than you did before, trying to come anywhere close to those numbers. But you no longer have a giant corporation and other people to help boost that. So yeah, just a little caveat there that I thought I would share. So now I look back on it all, and the hours and days and months of my time that I spent making content. Staging of the photos, to create layouts, to coordinate with new papers that were launching that they wanted to highlight, like Valentine's paper. I remember specifically there was tattoo type Valentine's paper that came out, like mom tattoos, you know, like with the heart said mom in it and stuff. That was really cute. I loved that paper. I'm not going to say I didn't, because I loved that paper that we had. I specifically went to a children's clothing store to buy t-shirts that had launched that year that looked like they coordinated. They had the tattoo that said I love mom on them for Valentine's Day, put the boys in those shirts, took their pictures, had the pictures printed, then made layouts with the coordinating paper that I then took pictures of that, and the process of making the project, edited all of those photos, and then put all of that up. And I did that day after day, week after week, month after month. In 2006. And this was all new. Like, I know that when I'm talking about this now, you're like, well, duh. This was 2006 when we weren't doing things like that. We weren't just making stuff to make content. We weren't just making content for content's sake. And then all of a sudden we were. Because we were trying to get our numbers up. We were trying to keep the momentum going. We did this on the regular before there were true influencers, before there were true content creators, before all of this started. We were doing this. And we all were doing it. It wasn't just me, it was all of us. And it didn't take long for this to become like the norm. And like, I know we weren't the only ones, I do. But I know that we had a huge megaphone because we were funded by a major corporation that had a marketing company running the program on the side. They had a third-party company helping run this. And that company promoted it and us all over the country to help promote their own business. At one point, I even spoke to graduate students at the University of Wisconsin because we were in a textbook on word-of-mouth marketing. I went to the Word-of-Mouth Marketing Association meetings at times because of what we were and what we did. Which is ridiculous in a lot of ways when I look back on it now. Really cool. I had some amazing opportunities and I did some really cool stuff. But also insane when I look back on it. After I left Fiskateers, I spent years in content marketing doing this for Fiskateers in-house, which just turned me into a total content monster. And then other craft companies, my own blog, and of course we all joined the social media revolution when Facebook left Harvard and became Facebook. And but it's been 20 years of trying to keep up, keep producing, keep making, keep posting projects. And I have watched friends of mine from the industry for the last 2 decades doing that too. Morphing, changing, trying to keep up, trying to follow trends, trying to follow how the industry's changed, how we've lost every independent scrapbooking store, basically. All that stuff has changed. And over the last 8 years or so, it's just gotten harder and harder, given the current social media climate, to just even, unless you were completely established on your own as an individual and managed to be redrummed early on and break out. You know, and I have a few people from my early days as Fiskateers who've done that, who are, I won't drop names, who are insanely crafty famous. And I'm so happy for them, but they are one out of thousands that I know. And I've just been taking a lot of time to look back on my contribution, as small or as big as it was, to the downfall of our society and the onslaught of this current social media climate. And I can't help but wonder, what if I hadn't been on the team? My uber competitive nature wanting to be on top, wanting my post to be on the top, be the one that's like above the fold. Wanting my posts to get more comments, so sharing more about my life, my family, going above and beyond. Spreading myself thin, crafting into the wee hours of the morning, taking photos, using our garage to house everything when we still lived in a tiny 2-bedroom townhouse. I just look back at everything, all in the name of us being successful and also keeping our jobs. We were contractors trying to maintain position in place, killing ourselves for a company that in the end kicked us all to the curb. I bled orange, and I pushed all 4 of us to the brink, and then eventually there were 5. Once I was inside, and I pushed them too. I didn't understand then. None of us did. We did not understand the internet 20 years ago and what was about to happen. But I do now. And their use of us led to breakthroughs in brand marketing, content creation, word of mouth marketing. But it may have also helped hasten where we are today. And it's also gotten me here, where I am today. Where the thought of having to post something, anything at all, is like pulling teeth. Or the idea of creating something and taking photos or videos of it suddenly seems so foreign that I am not sure who I am anymore. I once filmed something like 15 episodes of a craft show in one day with outfit changes, and everything was prepped and ready. Like, I had everything kitted, so it was like, you filmed it, you grabbed the next packet, I changed my shirt, I changed my hair clip, and I was ready to go for the next one. And the next packet of stuff was out, we went on, we shot the next one. I was a workhorse like that. I could do all of that stuff. And I went totally prepped and ready for each episode, and I could do that in a day. I could do 15 projects, totally different from each other, in one day. And the thought of doing one in a week right now, having to shoot one in a week, is overwhelming to me. In fact, it's so overwhelming that there are times that I want to throw up. The thought of shooting one video by myself at this point seems so daunting that it no longer feels valuable. Because it's not. One time, I was a subject matter expert. And I worked for a company where I was a subject matter expert. I knew now I'm just some lady who might have helped break the internet. With word of mouth marketing. And who's also no longer in the craft industry. And is not even making art right now. So yeah, my credibility from that side is gone too. And my voice to say anything that feels like it is gone as well. I think part of my problem is I long for the days of online and in-person scrapbooking crops and crafting events that were wholesome and fun. I miss connecting regularly and positive and encouraging and educational and inspirational and motivational and uplifting ways to learn from each other. Because we don't do that anymore. I miss Scrapfest at Mall of America, which sounds ridiculous, but I do. I miss thousands of people lining up to make and takes in the Mall of America and having to entertain them while they were in line. I miss being the luckiest girl in the back of the crop who won the lottery and got a job that she never thought she would have. Getting to teach people about something like scrapbooking and paper crafting that was the craziest, goofiest job, but like fun and exciting and just ridiculous in a lot of ways when you think about it. But it taught people to be creative. It taught people to have an outlet. It gave people the chance to showcase their families, to showcase their friends in ways that they don't do that anymore. We do everything online. And it's just, I miss that. I miss the wholesomeness of renting out a cabin for the weekend with your friends or a big house and everybody cooking food and showing up and you having 20 people crafting for an entire weekend together, a group of friends coming together and doing that. I miss that stuff. And I worry that I helped break that. That I helped break the thing that I love. I'm sorry that our individual needs to be on top or to stand out or to stay employed at the time created content producing monsters that forever changed the course of internet history in a bad way, because I think we did that. It's forever changed me in ways that I can't completely explain, good and bad. Yeah. So, all of that was to say this, that as I head into 2026, 20 years after the launch of the Fiskateers, the year of my 50th birthday, and our 250th anniversary as a country, which is currently in distress, I'm taking a break. I'm not sure how long, but I'm stepping away because it has all become so muddled and gross and scary, and I can't keep up the slog of sharing personal information, which I stopped doing a while ago. I pulled all of, I don't know, but I stopped sharing stuff about the kids a couple years ago and pulled all of their pictures down because I overshared when they were little and in ways that they didn't have control over, and they have control now. And I pulled my blogs down. I pulled Instagram down about a year or so ago. I pulled their pictures off of Facebook. And I really have just been using Facebook for work. And I pulled all of my videos off of, almost all of my videos off of YouTube. And I've just gone back to making a few this year. But I can't even find the strength right now to bother with it from a professional level. Because right now, I don't know what that is. I'm not in the craft industry anymore. I love making things and I want to share it. I miss doing that desperately. But when I left, I haven't scrapbooked since I haven't scrapbooked in a decade. I haven't scrapbooked in 10 years. I'm just getting back to paper crafting. And it's more art-based, like making my own books and things, because I got so burnt out, so beat down, and so destroyed by certain aspects of it that I had to walk away. And that was part of why I went into art. But I miss it. And I'm trying to find my way back now. But I need to find my way back without the pressure of posting. And I need to find my way back to me without posting. And so I'm taking a step back and intentionally slowing down even more than I already have been, which we all know I have been, to focus on continuing to heal my body as much as possible, which is not totally possible, but we're gonna try, see what we can do. Figuring out my next chapter because I can't stay here. And I need to understand and process some of what I've been feeling about our role in the current interweb situation and how we, or at least what my role was in that. And so I'm not carrying any guilt at all. I feel no guilt on my shoulders at all for the current state of our social media predicament. Yeah, that's what's been going on with me. So my word for 2026 is grounded. I haven't picked a word in years. I haven't felt compelled to. This year I wanted to feel more grounded, for my life to feel more grounded, my relationships to feel more grounded and substantial and consequential and meaningful. So I'm choosing a word for the year for the first time in a long time, and taking a break from posting and visiting and chatting and hanging out on social media for a while as I start 2026. So that I can get grounded again and get my shit together. If you know me, you know how to get a hold of me. Or you know someone who does. So if you need something, you know how to reach me. Um, yeah, I just think it's time to take a break. And maybe reconnect with people in real life. Maybe get my hands dirty again. And start putting my life back together a little bit too. So, Happy New Year. I wish you guys all the best, and I hope that you have a blessed and wonderful start to 2026. I will be back. I don't know when, but I will be back. I just need a little break. So, Happy New Year. I will talk to you all again at some point.